Now, I have to warn you, if you hear snoring, it's not me, it's my dog.
Okay, no problem.
Oh, hang on a sec. Meeting. Okay, I'm going to just have to go live again. Because I wasn't sure what was going on. I'd been in here for a little while, and then all
Right.
of a sudden I saw that you were waiting, and I was like, he's not in the waiting room. So I thought, oh, I better get out of it and try again. It was just a bit weird. So now I've lost my. Rohit Menon.
Yep.
You know, I'm going to
It's
just
all
keep
good.
saying
Don't
that.
worry about it. Most often it becomes Roy.
I'm really bad with it.
Yeah.
And how are you today, Mr. Rohit?
I'm great. So far, so good. The day has been positive, and I just got to meet a couple of chefs on the team who I haven't seen for a while. So, yep, so far, so good.
So for those of you who haven't met Rohit, so today I'm speaking to Rohit Menon, is that right?
Yep, that's right.
And Rohit is the new pastry chef at Rosehill Gardens, which is part of the Australian Turf Club. And that's very exciting.
No, it is very exciting, and it's a massive, massive operation. I haven't even seen it at its full capacity yet. So I'm pretty excited because this far I've worked, in hotels, done, max like 2,000, 3,000 people. But here the numbers I'm hearing are anywhere between 15 and 45,000. So yeah,
It's
I think it's going
amazing
to be
that those sort of
pretty fun.
numbers are just incredible, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, never thought I'd even hear those kind of numbers, to be honest.
Have you
But
ever
yep,
done catering for that type of volume?
no, I haven't. This is going to be my first time. So I'm pretty excited about it, but I'm confident that it's going to be fun.
But let me tell you, you have got a very, very interesting and unique career. You sent me over your resume. Thank you so much for that. But
Oh, no problem.
I actually enjoyed more the fact that you've got a website connected to your resume. I was like, oh my God, that is pretty
No,
special. So talk to me about, so where are you from, Rohit?
I'm from India. I'm basically from a state called Kerala, but born and raised in the neighboring state, which is called Tamil Nadu. And the city I'm from is called Chennai. It was earlier called Madras, but now it's called Chennai. So yeah, that's where I'm from.
Was there a big population there?
Oh, it's massive. I
Yeah.
think, if I'm not mistaken, I don't have the exact figures, but I'm pretty sure that the population of that city is as large as the state of New South Wales.
Really, just in that city. And how big
Yes.
is the city? Is it a bit like Sydney?
No, that's the funny thing. Sydney as a city is larger in size. It's just the population density is so high, so extremely high, that you have a lot more people.
Yeah. And so what made you want to get into cooking? So why did you want to be a chef?
Well, there's two parts to that actually. One is because I didn't like studying very much when I was in school, and I thought this would be like an easy way out, and I wouldn't, have to deal with maths and numbers and stuff like that. Um, on that count, I was very wrong because it turns out that cooking does involve a lot of maths and numbers, just in a different way than I thought. And the second reason is because I had an aunt who was very passionate about cooking, and she loved cooking for the family. And I was pretty young when I decided that I was going to go into cooking full time. So I think by the time I was 14, I decided that this is what I
Wow.
was going to do, and which is pretty not like it's not the done thing in India, because usually parents in India want their children to become, either a doctor or an engineer or at least go into IT or something like that, because that's what good Indian children do, the stereotype. But yeah, so I decided rather early on that that was not what I was going to do. And, cooking with my aunt, combined with the fact that I didn't really like school very much, I thought this was a great career choice.
So how
And
did
it
your
has been.
parents, how did your parents react to that news when you said that you were going to become a doctor or an engineer, you were going to become a chef?
Well, actually, they were very supportive. They just said one thing, that is, Rohit, do what you want, but whatever you're doing, you got to be the best at what you're doing. So I was like, that's fair enough. And yeah, I mean, after that, I went into college, and it was a whole different ball game, and started doing really well. And I think, I realized then that you really need to find your calling in what you're passionate about. And then what would seem like hard work for someone else becomes easy and just comes naturally to you.
So where did you do your apprenticeship at?
I started actually at the Oberoi in Bangalore. So the Oberoi is a five-star luxury chain in India, and primarily based in India, and very often come up among some of the best luxury hotels in the world. And then from there, I moved on to the Taj Hotels, where I joined them as a management training. Yeah.
So then you stayed with the Taj Hotels for quite a while, right?
Yeah, it was, because I think I was with them for almost 5 years, all in all, including the management training, because it was a great experience, because getting into the program itself is very difficult. And unlike certain countries, where there is a skill shortage or a staff shortage, in India, I mean, you literally got 1 million people, and I'm not kidding when I say 1 million people passing out every year from hospitality colleges. So it's very difficult, to get into the good programs and work with the good hotels. Yeah.
So it's actually quite it's quite a popular trade in India.
The thing is, it's not very regulated. It's not very well regulated. So what happens is, while you have millions of people graduating, people who are actually properly trained and skills ready to go on the job, those aren't a lot. So there's a handful of really good colleges which produce good students, but then there's a lot of colleges which don't.
So your parents are of the mindset that you would go to one of those good colleges?
Yep.
Well, that's really good, isn't it? So, and then so you would do your 4 days work and 1 day at school at college?
Oh no, this was after school. So in back home in India, you don't have this concept of working while you're still in school. So you only get to start apprenticing or training once you're completely done with school. And when you're in college, like actually in culinary school, at that point you can start and go and do your apprenticeship with someone.
Yeah. So you do what, 1 day a week at college, and
no, they send you.
work?
Or they send you for a couple of months, so it's like 6 months.
Like a book.
Yeah, so where I went to the Oberois, and you get a full taste of the industry and how hard it is, and also you get to meet a lot of chefs and understand what the real world is all about. It's a very exciting time.
So what sort of cuisine are you taught at college? Is it traditional Indian food, or is it Western, French?
Oh, it's everything. Indian food is definitely a major component, but you do Indian, you do pastry, as well as Western food, classical French food, actually.
So did you learn to speak English at school, or is that something you've had to teach yourself?
Oh no, that was entirely, my parents speak English at home, so it's
really?
pretty much, yeah, it's pretty much native tongue to me. So yeah.
So your parents here in Australia, or are they still in India?
They're still in India.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
It would have been hard with the current pandemic. You wouldn't have been able to see them for quite a while. Have they been out here at all?
Oh no, they haven't had the opportunity to come here, because I've been in Australia myself only for the last like 3.5 years. And I think the first year I went home, and then after that the pandemic hit, and then no one's been able to travel. So yeah, it's been a while since I've been home, but
And
hopefully, fingers crossed soon.
have you settled well into Australia? Like you're really enjoying the lifestyle and the transition?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, there's a great work-life balance. The industry is very evolved, and it's great produce to work with. And so far, all the people I've met have been a pleasure to work with as well. So yeah, I mean, so far so good.
So you trained as a commercial cookery chef. That was what you did your trade as, and then you transitioned into specializing in pastry. Is that right?
I can actually do both. And
Yeah, that's what I mean. So you kind of were trained as a chef, and then you went on to
yeah,
specialize more in the pastry.
yeah. So basically, how it works is in the 3 years of culinary school, the first 2 years you basically train across departments, across cuisines, and then in the third year you get to pick what you want to specialize in, and then you focus on that. So that's when I transitioned to pastry, like proper.
Would have been like there's such a shortage of good pastry chefs. I mean, you're just such a rare community. We need more trained pastry chefs. So you worked at the Taj Hotel. You've worked at a lot of 5-star hotels. I mean, I'm talking like full-on 5-star hotels.
Yeah, it's been fun, and each of those hotel brands are very different, and they were in different countries, working with many different kinds of people from many different parts of the world. Because the thing about the Middle East is they welcome people from anywhere. So I have friends in Serbia, Ethiopia, places that I would probably never know anybody at if I didn't work in the Middle East. So it's truly a cultural melting pot over there.
So some of your highlights and fun facts, if you like, that I kind of went through and read. I mean, you've cooked for royalty as well. Like you've cooked for some amazing people.
Yeah, I know. I have had the opportunity working with those hotels to cook for some really important people, and it's fun. It's got some of its challenges, but it's got its ups and downs. Like on the plus side, for instance, you never think about something like food cost. It just doesn't arise. All that matters is delivering a great product, and you can literally have whatever you want from anywhere in the world, any time of the year. So yeah, I mean, seasonality, unfortunately, is not something that is taken into a lot of consideration over there in the Middle East. But same time, as a chef, it provides you a lot of opportunity to play around and create lots of new stuff and really explore.
It's incredible. I mean, I didn't even like cooked for the chain de rotisserie leadership team. What was that like?
Oh, that was very exciting because the Chaîne de Rôtisseurs, as you know, is a very elite organization of chefs, and basically they have several chapters, and they travel and they have their meetings at different cities and all over the world. So when I was in Brunei, they actually came over and had their dining experience with us. So I was pretty nervous because that was actually my first head pastry chef role that I'd taken up in my career, and it was a pretty big deal. But yeah, I did a pretty interesting dessert, and it went really well. So I did like this blue cheese gelato with poached pears. So it was very funky, like a very funky combination, not something that you'd normally see or hear on a menu. But it went down really big with them, and they really appreciated the whole meal, and we got to like meet them after the dining experience. So yeah, it was really good.
And you cooked for the Sultan of Brunei?
Oh, I haven't cooked for the Sultan of Brunei, but he's been at events, not specifically for him. But yes, I have done some cooking there as well for them, and that was good as well. Different set of challenges because in Southeast Asia, you got a lot of ingredients, fresh ingredients you have access to, which you don't in lots of other parts. But yeah, it was good.
And do you just think that, when you think about produce and you think about ingredients, you would have such a huge understanding and a major repertoire of the understanding of how to use those ingredients, because you were able to have the joy of using them.
Yeah, no, that's definitely one of the pluses of having traveled a little bit and working in different places. Because, you know, when you go to the local markets, the local food streets, and you get to see so much stuff. And, you know, then you play around with those ingredients, infusing them into pastry or other different parts of cuisine, wherever you have the opportunity to, which makes it pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Like, you know, an ingredient like pandan, for example, which is so popular in Southeast Asia, is not something that you see a lot of in Australia.
What is
But
pandan?
pandan is basically the leaf of a plant, but it's got this really mild flavor, and it's used pretty heavily in Southeast Asian cooking, both in sweet and savory. So they also make this jam out of it called kaya jam, which is also pretty popular. And you know, those are the kind of things. Dates, for example, from the Middle East, there's like so many different kinds of dates.
Really?
Yeah, and you know, each of them tastes a little different, and you know that the fresh date tastes completely different from the dry dates. And you know, so it's pretty fun, those kind of things. Like rose water, pistachios, so many different ingredients, which are when you incorporate them into like modern pastry, they add such a different like flavor profile, textures, and it's very interesting for the guest.
It would be just incredible to just, I mean, I read at one of your fun facts was you created a giant cupcake for Christmas while you were at the Doha Hotel as the assistant pastry chef.
Yeah, that was at the W. So
Yeah.
that was like basically what we did is we created we carved a styrofoam base, like this really, I think must have been about 10 feet high. And then, you know, covered the whole thing in royal icing. And the top was, so the entire top of the cupcake was royal icing in different colors. And then the whole walls of the cupcake we did with caramel popcorn. So we actually stuck on caramel popcorn like one by one to like cover the whole thing. So yeah, it was pretty cool. It took about 10 days to get all of it done, with three or four people working on it. But you know, when you finish a project like that, it's just so great to, you know, sit back and, you know, watch, like, because we put it in the lobby, and then, you know, every guest who walks in has to take a picture with it. I mean, how can you not? It's a giant cupcake.
I actually saw in and we'll get into it a little bit later, but one of your passions is food photography.
Yeah, I mean, I love food photography, and while I'm not professionally qualified, I try to do the best I can with an iPhone.
You do an amazing job. You are pretty gifted when it comes to food photography. So you managed a team of 22 pastry chefs while you were at the W Hotel.
Yep, that's correct.
So what type of manager, like what sort of skills did you need in order to do that role effectively?
In the Middle East, you've got pretty large teams ranging, like, depending on where you are. I mean, a small team would be 15 people, and it can go anywhere up to 60 to 70 people. And I'm talking just the pastry section. So your role, even as a second in charge, which is what I was over there, is more managerial. You would have to create and innovate and, you know, show people how to do things once. But then after that, you step back, because there's just so much going on that you can't, like, you know, just take one task and do only that one thing. Like at the W, it was one of the largest outside catering operations in the Middle East, and definitely the largest in Qatar. So, you know, on a single night, sometimes you'd have like 10 different outside catering venues. So, and that would be in 10 different parts of the city. So, you know, and it's really hot in the Middle East. So, you know, especially with pastry, it's really tricky, and you got to plan, you know, right from the production, you got to plan, you know, what you're making, how is it going to travel, and, you know, how is it going to be dispensed, because it's average temperature there is like anywhere between 40 and 45 degrees. Yeah, so it's really blistering hot. So it's pretty
You
tricky.
spend most of the day inside.
Yes, most of the day you would be inside. And most places are temperature controlled anyway. I mean, like, even if you went to the bus stop, it's air conditioned. So
Really?
yeah. So I mean, not every single bus stop, but at least the major ones. Even the bus stops are air conditioned. So it's pretty interesting. I don't think that's something you'd see in many other parts of the world.
So when you went and worked in some of these big cities in the Middle East, I'm assuming that, you know, that you went there for work, right? So that you didn't live there for pleasure, you were there for work.
Yeah.
What were some of the biggest things that you just found like an oh my God moment, you know, where it was just so out of the realm of what you were used to?
Well, in the Middle East, I think the biggest change that I experienced was the fact that money didn't matter. Like, wherever I'd worked before and after, food costs and what you spend and all these things are really important. And it's a big part of being a chef and managing a team and your production. But out there, cost really doesn't matter. Like, I still remember when I was the Shangri-La, I went to my executive chef, and I think that was the first Christmas I was doing with him, because the executive pastry chef had left, and I ended up running the kitchen. So I went to him and I said, so chef, what's the budget like you want me to work off of for Christmas? And his answer was more than zero, less than a million. And I was like, oh, okay. And I wasn't sure. I mean, I thought he was pulling my leg. So I asked him again. And I was like, can you tell me? And he's like, I just told you, more than zero, less than a million. So yeah, it was pretty exciting. And his only thing was spend whatever you want, use whatever resource you need. The only thing that matters to me is when people walk into that restaurant, they pull out their phones, take pictures, and put that stuff up on social. So yeah, that was, I think, the most revelationary part of working in the Middle East.
So when you're so used to working to a certain standard anyway, and all of us, I know that we're bound by food costs, but we really do push the boundaries, don't we, when it comes to making the most of what we have. How do you then elevate that to create the extraordinary?
I think it's entirely about managing your costs and deciding where you're willing to, you want to create that wow moment and go a little further, spend a little more, and, really impress customers. And then looking at where you've got to cut back to balance off your food costs. So I think so long as you get that balancing act right, you're good.
Did it really allow you to be able to refine your skills during that time, given that you were able to play around with products or ingredients or even techniques that you generally probably wouldn't have had the opportunity to?
No, absolutely. I think working in the Middle East was definitely the best and most constructive part of my career because, like you said, whether it's in resources in terms of skilled labor or ingredients or equipment, whatever you need, you had it. So it was definitely a very critical part of my career. And yeah, I mean, I don't think I'd be the chef I am today without it.
It's incredible. I mean, it's people like you and the training and the skills that you've had that I'm so glad that I do these sessions, because the journey that you've had and the experiences, it's just something that a lot of us will only ever be able to live through the story that you can tell.
Yeah, it's been fun, and I consider myself pretty fortunate that I've been able to live and work in quite a few places. And I think the best part always, like you said, you see a lot of ingredients and you see a lot of techniques, you learn from a lot of different people. Like I've had bosses, pastry chefs who were from Italy, France, Sri Lanka, Spain. So, and each of them comes with their own thinking and their mindset and views on how things should be done. And they've got their own ways of doing things. And, like working with all of those different kind of people, you just absorb all of that knowledge from all of these different people. And that just makes you a better chef and a better manager.
I think that that's amazing. So what brought you to Australia? Why did you choose Australia?
Well, actually a funny story, because what happened is, like I told you a little earlier, I was the Shangri-La and I ran the pastry kitchen there for 8 months in the absence of an executive pastry chef. And that was like a massive, massive operation because it was a central production kitchen and we were doing like 1,500 people every meal period, breakfast, lunch, and
This is
dinner.
not Sydney.
No, this is in Shangri-La in Oman. So
Okay.
it was, and I think we had 24 F&B outlets, and there the concept, or at least when I was there, the concept of outsourcing had still not entered the Middle East. So whatever you do in-house. So like, the bakers would be doing like 5,000 croissants every night, in the graveyard shift, and then baking everything fresh. And it's completely unreal. I mean, looking at how much, like, for example, the pastry and outsourcing pastry is really evolved in Australia. I mean, which is also sadly the reason why a lot of places don't have pastry kitchens, and pastry chefs are also becoming a dying breed. But out there, everything is made from scratch. Numbers are massive. But I digress. So basically, what
No,
happened is,
it's all part of the story. And I'm just sitting here, I can't even talk because I'm just like so engrossed in your story.
yeah, so I think what happened is, I ran that place for about 8 months, and my executive chef was very supportive of me, and he wanted me to move up and become the executive pastry chef for that. But I got turned down because they said I don't have Western experience. And so I was like, that's interesting. I mean, apparently that matters a lot. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go and get myself some Western experience. And yeah, that's why I decided to move to Australia.
But what made you choose Australia? You could have chosen any other country really in the world, and yet you chose Australia.
I think Australia has been a country that I've always been fascinated by. I mean, just the natural beauty, and it's just so much to see. And unfortunately, with COVID, I still haven't gotten to do a lot of that. But I think it was a combination of always wanting to visit the country, and I've been told by several chefs who I've worked with in the past who moved here before that it's a great place to work, and the chefs are great, and the produce is great, and there's a good work-life balance. So I think all of that together is what probably pushed me towards Australia.
So then how does the training and that experience that you've had, how easily recognized is that in Australia?
I think it's pretty easily recognized because, to be honest, hotels in Australia are not the best regarded. I mean, within the Australian market itself, that is not where the most luxury offering is, or at least that's my personal opinion. But I think most chefs who know what hotels are all about in Southeast Asia and the Middle East, they know that that's where the really high standard work is done. So it hasn't been very hard really, because most of the places that I worked are the international 5-star luxury chains, and the Middle East is known for going over the top and uh, living larger than life. So it's actually not been too difficult.
I actually find that really interesting that that's your play or your understanding, because when I think about it, I do tend to agree with you. I mean, our 5-star market isn't even a pinch on what you would be used to overseas where you've worked anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just that people are looking for a lot more, and a lot more change, and a lot more, every day has got to be, well, not every day, but, people want to keep up with the trend and what's new. And I think in hotels, it's just that there's so much structure, and it's not easy to change things as easily as it may be to do in let's say, a restaurant, or, a coffee shop or something like that. And also there's so many guidelines and brand standards you have to stick to when you're working in a 5-star luxury hotel, which actually handicaps you.
Okay. In what way?
Like for example, because all the international hotel chains, they have a certain set time periods, when you can change menus, how you can write menus, what can be on those menus. There's a lot of red tape
Yeah, it's
which
a
you don't
shame.
have.
It's just such a shame, because our 5-star hotels, and I'm only talking about those that are in Sydney and even the Hunter Valley, they've got amazing chefs in them. I mean, I'm talking chefs that have got like a resume you could only just dream of being able to get your hands on or have had that training. And I just feel they're so underutilized, to be honest. And then I look at places like Rosehill or even clubs that have started to, and cafes that have really started to push the boundaries, especially in that dessert space.
Yeah, no, that's very true. And I think it's all about having the right thinking, the right mindset, and having a team that, understands your vision and supports you in what you want to do. Because I think that's the most important thing. Like having an idea is great, creativity is great. And but if you can't create buy-in, it doesn't go anywhere. So I think that's the critical part about working with great teams, the people who are willing to do something new and push the boundaries.
And I think it says a lot about the businesses as well, in that they want to have that unique offering and be able to, they see the value in actually having somebody own and deliver a great standard in benchmarking the desserts of what they're handing out to their customers.
Yeah, no, that's very important. And I think it's really critical, in fact, because if you look at the Sydney market today, with the extent of stuff that's being outsourced, there are a lot of places that serve the same thing with just different names, but they're all just buying it out from different places. And yes, with the cost of labor being the way it is in Australia, I understand why that's happening. And I certainly think that there are certain products which should be bought, and it makes sense to do that. But, like a signature offering and, something that you need to have your own unique selling points and things that you can call your own.
Yeah.
And I think that is what is really important, and the importance of having a good pastry team.
It's so true. I mean, even when I look at the Shangri-La here in Sydney, and Anna Pavlovu was there. And I mean, do you know Anna?
I met her once, but not really.
I mean,
spoken to her.
she's an amazing pastry chef. I mean, obviously she's become quite famous now, but
Yeah.
Going along to some of the sittings that she had, and the whole place would be like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. I mean, it was just incredible. It was like stepping into an adventure and somebody telling you a story. You'd go up and you'd take things off the wall, and it was very interactive. And I just thought it was so great. And we haven't really seen a whole lot of that in Sydney. But having chefs like you that have been trained to have those skills is really exciting for us.
No, I think it's all about the opportunity. And like Rosehill, for example, I think is a place where if you want to go big, you can. It's just about the right timing, the right event, and creating the buy-in of what you want to do. Like for example, just to throw back, when I was at the Shangri-La, one Christmas we built like a gingerbread house with the help of the engineering team. We built a gingerbread house that was like life size. So instead of having like a little stall where you could just go and buy something, you could actually walk into this gingerbread house and like you said, pick things off the wall. And it was almost looked like the house from Hansel and Gretel. So yeah, it was really interesting. And the looks on people's faces when they see something like that, when they walk into a life-size gingerbread house, it's something else. It's something you don't forget very easily. And
it takes you back to a really special time in your life, which is generally when you're a child, and everything just seems so much bigger than life.
Yeah.
When that becomes something that you can enjoy as an adult, you just have, it's just something you get to do every day. You
No,
need to be really
absolutely.
careful now because Jerry's going to have you making that for Christmas, don't you?
Who knows? It's possible. I'd be happy to do it. It'd be really fun. It's been a while since I have.
I actually am. I just think it's wonderful that that you're working together. I think that you're going to complement each other so nicely. I mean, Jerry, I just think is just amazing. It's funny. I only pretty much. I love doing my events with Jerry. I might say that the team there at Rosehill Gardens and even at Randwick, they're incredible. And the last event that we had there, which was just for the COVID closed down lockdown this time, the food was sensational.
Yeah, no, I think they do an extremely high quality of food at Rosehill. It's something like overall, I think across the board, whether it's entrees, mains, dessert, they have a really good quality product. And, sometimes it's just not knowing what's out there in the market. Like I worked in 5-star hotels in Sydney for about 3.5 years. And until I really looked into the Turf Club, I didn't realize that there are other players out there doing such high quality food. And that was actually one of the reasons why I decided to move, because I was really impressed with the quality of food that Rosehill was doing. And I was like, I want to be a part of that. So that's the reason why I moved, actually.
That's amazing. And it was just at the right time when Jerry was looking for someone.
I know.
So what's been some of your standout memories during your time as a chef? What's been special?
Well, I think it's always been these larger than life moments. I think I've told you about
Like the gingerbread house. I think that's incredible.
Yeah, the giant cupcake, the life-size gingerbread house. Then again at the Shangri-La, we once did this really giant cake for Oman's National Day. I think it was 30 feet long and 12 feet wide. So
really?
Yeah, so massive cake. And so we built it over like 5 tables. And then each of those tables had to be carried out one by one and then, put together in the outside assembly area where the function was actually happening. Yeah, I mean, those are all like really good
How
times.
did you do that? Did you just do slab after slab after slab and then just join them all together?
Yeah, so basically you got to assemble like slabs of cake. We don't join them all together. So we actually layer them all. We put all the sponge sheets out on the table. And, you got to measure exactly where they're going to join. So basically, yeah, there's a little math involved. So you got to figure out exactly where they will meet and stuff like that. And then you actually build the cake, because you can't really assemble the cakes one by one and put them together, because then you'll see like all the cracks. I mean, not the cracks, but the points where they join. So it has to be actually done like you were doing like one giant cake. So there are parts you would see parts where they join, but only between the tables. So not like between each slab of cake. So yeah, I mean, that was definitely a very interesting time. On the same occasion, we also built like this, well, not built, carved this life-sized, not life-sized, but an ice train. So basically giant blocks of ice that were carved, right from the engine to each piece behind. And then, the top was used to put out the cold cuts and the seafood and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, those are the kind of things that,
you just brought back some memories, because back when I was a chef, which is a really long time ago, we did a lot of margarine carvings and a lot of ice sculptures. It was just a way of playing on the theme that you were doing for a buffet or something like that. Have you had a lot of experience with doing margarine carvings or ice carvings?
Well, I've done a little bit of it when I was in college, because they teach it to you, because it's something you need to know how to do. But I haven't done a lot of it myself, no, because I think those areas are so super specialized. Like in the Middle East, we don't we have kitchen artists. There's actually a job called a kitchen artist.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, they've got their own little teams. So it'll be like there's like a senior kitchen artist, and then he has like 2, 3 other people working with him. So they really are artists by trade. So you just have to give them like a block of chocolate or a block of margarine or a block of ice, and then you tell them what you want, and they will literally turn your dreams into reality.
Really? We
Yeah.
need that in our kitchens here. I've never
Well,
heard of that, a kitchen artist.
yeah, no, it's really great, because no matter how skilled you are or how good you are at margarine or ice carving or chocolate, you can't really do the job of a sculptor or an artist. And that's what these people are. So they are proper professionally trained sculptors and artists who work together in these larger hotels, and they have got their own kitchen space and their own, cool rooms to work on chocolate or margarine. They've got everything that they need. It's not like, you just get one corner of the kitchen and you got to make things happen. It's like a full-fledged department.
It's amazing. So when
Yeah.
I first reached out to you, because Jerry had said, you need to speak to Rohit, and I was like, okay, I'm really interested, and I'll reach out. And we got talking about coming on and having a chat. And then I looked at your LinkedIn and all the rest of it. But when you sent me through your resume and then you've got your own little website, I was just like, my God, this guy has got the most incredible skills. Did you take all of this photography yourself?
Yes.
It's really impressive. And I don't know if other people are able to look at your little website. I don't know that I'd call it little. I mean, it's so professionally done. Well done to you.
Well, thank you. But yeah, that was just playing around years. I actually did this once. I started between jobs. When I was in between jobs, I just found this website and just decided to give it a go. So I've basically taken that and refined it over the last couple of years, just to show where I've been, where I've worked. And it's pretty interesting because it also shows, and it reminds me as well how my work has progressed over the years, and how it has been different in different places. So yeah, it's really interesting.
It's so interesting, right? And you know what? It's actually just, you could write blogs on here as well.
I could, but yeah, I guess I'm just too lazy.
But just, how you've got your fun facts and you've got all of that. I know that's in your resume, but even so, like, it just made me understand you so much better. And I think that it would even be something for consideration for other people in our industry to consider for their resume, is to talk about some of those fun facts and different things that had made an impression on them at the time that they were working in that establishment.
Yeah, no, because those are things that, it becomes a little part of who you are. I mean, I'm not saying it's critical to the job or how you're going to do at your next job, but I think it's, it's just a little fun for your prospective employer to know, where you've been, what you've done, what are the high points in your career, and, like you said, what are the things that really stuck with you.
So what is your favorite, what is the line of desserts that you really enjoy making?
I think it's all about, I think what I like doing best is trying to match savory and the sweet together and creating desserts which are unique, either in terms of a concept or in terms of flavor, something like that. Like most recently, I made an inside out carrot cake. So basically the idea of the dessert was to take a carrot cake and make it look like a couple of carrots in a patch of garden, while still having all of the elements of the dessert in terms of the cheese frosting and the carrot cake and all of the elements of a traditional carrot cake, but just turn it into something that a guest would not expect to see. Because when you say carrot
wow
cake,
factor.
exactly, because when you say carrot cake, you're expecting to see probably a slab or a slice of a brown cake with some frosting in the middle. It's just taking a very comfort kind of dessert, if you will, and putting a spin on it to make it wow.
Do you mind if I share my screen and show some of the photos that you've got on your website?
No, I'm good.
Are you
Please go ahead.
sure? I don't want to put you on the spot, but it's too good not to share.
No, that's fine. I'm happy for you to do that.
I'm just going to share it now. You let me know if you can actually see it.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about some, like, this is just incredible. I'm not even going to lie. So the gatto and themed cakes. Tell us
Yep.
a little bit about some of these.
Well, what you're looking at actually is the luxury cake line, which I created for my last employer. And it's got everything from chocolate to pandan and calamansi.
This one. Look at this big one.
Yeah, that's actually a cake that was done for a wedding expo in while I was at the Shangri-La.
It's just incredible. I mean, that one there with the little meringue, is it meringue on top?
Yeah,
That's
there's a
just
meringue.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's been fun. So
And can I show you some confections and petit
Yeah,
fours?
go ahead, whatever you'd like.
I mean, look at this.
Yeah, that was for afternoon tea most recently, just last year.
This is just incredible. Oh, I really like that macaron twirl, the chocolate.
Yeah, those are room amenities.
And you make your own chocolates there as well?
Yes.
You're very, very clever.
Thank you.
Let's have a look at the breads. Sorry, I'm just like, so you do bread as well?
Yes. I'm not like a specialty baker or something like that, but yeah, I can do a good quality bread.
It's just amazing. The little pastries.
Yep.
I tell you what, I'm definitely coming out to Rosehill again for my next function. And I'm just going to make it all desserts. Look at this.
Looking forward to having you.
Look at that chocolate, the chocolate.
Yeah, that picture is actually pretty deceiving because I think each of those globes is about 4 feet wide.
It's just incredible. How hard do you find working with the gold leaf?
It's not, it can be a little tricky, but if you've got the right equipment in terms of non-static tweezers and stuff like that, it's actually pretty, you get pretty comfortable. And that's another thing that working in the Middle East will teach you. You will get very comfortable working with gold leaf because they literally put gold on everything. I've actually done.
Look at this one with the little flower pot. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I'm just mesmerized by these desserts.
It's been fun. It's been quite a lot of fun creating all of those desserts. And yeah, it's weird to sit on the other end of this and look at my portfolio.
Is it?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Does it kind of like make you go, okay, wow, I actually created that? I mean, look at this little mushroom one. Tell me about that one.
Oh yeah, that's something I created for last Christmas actually. So it was a dessert that was meant to look and taste a little bit like a mushroom. So it was a hazelnut and chocolate mousse, and it had a porcini and chocolate pressed sable. So it wasn't just the look of a mushroom, you also add the taste, the umami flavor of the mushroom. So it was a really interesting dessert to create.
That's incredible. And this coconut, is that chocolate on the outside to make it look like a coconut?
Yeah, it is.
Wow. Tell me about the little flower pot.
Which one?
It'll come along in a second.
Okay.
So I think it's the one after. Yeah, it's just coming up now. See, I know it's not that one.
Oh, I think I know which one. Yeah, this one. Yeah, okay. This is the one, right?
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
Look, it's got a little bee and everything on the plate.
Yeah, that's something created for Easter. So basically the concept was to have something, looking like a little garden where there's a little bunny and, fallen over pot and something a little interactive for the customer. Those were from a very, very long time ago.
Well, I think that as I said, I had no idea until I had a look at this. You know, this is why I just love the chefs in our industry. We have got the most diverse, the most unique, the most talented chefs. I mean, look at this. This is just beautiful. Anyway, I'm going to stop embarrassing you now.
Okay.
And I just have to work out how to stop screen sharing. Okay. It's not working for me.
It's all right. I'm sure you'll figure it out.
I will. And so, you know, in terms of how things are changing in our industry, where do you see the desserts going? Do you think that it's going to be like do you think that we'll see buffet desserts again?
I think we will, but I think it's going to be a really long time before the buffets come back. I think until people, you know, start to learn how to live with COVID and accept that it's not going away, I think it's going to be at least 3 or 4 years before the buffets start making anything of a comeback. I think people have gotten used to, you know, dining at the table and having their food served to them, individual portions. And I think the industry itself has been so creative in terms of coming up with different ways and means of delivering that same experience to guests without them having to leave their tables. And I think a lot of people like that, you know, and especially with what's happened with COVID, I don't think it's going to happen for quite a while in terms of people going back to being comfortable with buffets.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you. I think that we're going to, but you know, we can have little stations, and that way then we can have like the station where you've got all of these different desserts, just so that we can just pick and choose, and we can just have it served to us so that we're not touching it.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it will happen. It's just going to take a while. And when we do it at Rosehill, I'll make sure to let you know.
I love that. So I think I asked you, but just remind me again, what is your, like, do you love making gatos, and what's your favorite thing to make?
I think plated desserts is what I like doing the most.
Okay.
Because, you know, it's pretty interesting. It's like your own little work of art, which you create on a canvas of your choice. And, you know, thinking it through right from the beginning to what or how you envision the customer is going to receive it. So I think, yeah, plated desserts would be what I enjoy doing the most. And afternoon tea. I love afternoon tea. And afternoon tea. Afternoon tea is great.
Do you think that high teas will become a bit of a thing to do?
No, absolutely. I think the high tea, afternoon tea, whatever you want to call it, is already pretty evolved in Australia and definitely in Sydney. And I think that going forward, I think it's going to become more and more popular, because it's a great experience where, you know, you get to try so many different morsels of sweet and savory, and you know, there's no, again, it's not like a buffet or something like that. You have your own little stand sent to your table. And yeah, I think it's going to be a very big part of pastry moving forward.
I tell you what, how good would it be to go to Rosehill and be able to have high tea up in the members lounge and get served like the platters of things that you're making. Honestly, I'm blown away. I just think you're incredible. And I actually love the photo that you took on your front cover of the apple.
Yeah, that's it's pretty interesting. I actually chose that because the first dessert I ever made was an apple pie. And it's such a humble ingredient, but I think at any point, every pastry chef, home cook, baker must have made an apple pie. So it's basically to, you know, for me, it's symbolic of the beginning of my journey, if you will.
I love that.
Yeah.
I actually, you don't mind if I just show everyone that photo, because they'll be going, oh, what does the apple look like? But this is a photograph of the front of Chef Rohit's website. And can you see that?
Yep, I can. I mean,
Yeah. So that I think it's come up on Facebook Live now. So
right.
you know, and you've got their camaraderie, art, music, sport, faith, hope, and compassion. No boundaries, neither does food. Love that. You are such an inspiration. You are incredible. I'm so glad and so blessed to have met you.
Thank you, Vanessa. It's been great. It's been great talking to you, and just talking about everything that's happening in our industry. And yeah, it's been fun.
Is there anything that you wanted to chat about that we haven't covered or I haven't raised?
I think you've covered pretty much everything.
I'm pretty nosy,
yeah.
aren't I? I'm sorry. I actually just get so inspired by you guys. And do you reckon that you'll ever write a book?
Nah, I don't think. I told you, it's not that I let's put it like this. I've considered it, thought about it, but then I don't think I'll ever do it. I don't know if I'd have the patience to sit down and do something like that. That's a funny thing. As a pastry chef, I can be extremely patient when it comes to my job. But outside of my job, I'm not a very patient person.
Isn't that funny? That's the reason why I never really dabbled much in pastry, was because I'm actually just not a patient person at all. Like, everything has to be done now. And I just never thought I'd have the patience for pastry.
Yeah, it does require a little patience, but I think if you're, really into it, and I think you just find your ways of making it work.
Well, on that note, all I can do is say thank you so much. I've had a lot of comments online, and people were just blown away. And I thank you so much for letting me share your website and some of the pastries and your pastry portfolio, because I think it just gives people a really great understanding of what you've done and where you've been and what you've created.
Yeah, no, thank you, Vanessa. Thank you for your time and for sharing all of that with your viewers. And it's been great. And hopefully we can do this sometime soon.
I would love that, but I'd actually prefer to catch up in person and we sit down over a cup of tea and some scones.
Absolutely.
But
next
say
available opportunity.
Say hi to the team out there at Rosehill, and send my love to everybody. And I can't wait until we're all out of this situation and able to start to enjoy some times together again.
Yep, will do.
All right. Take care.
Okay.
It was so good to meet you. Thank you.
Thanks, Vanessa.
Bye.
Bye.